The music industry is a very deep industry. It has a lot of layers. And when it comes to rap beef, what's going on right now currently is pretty big for the culture. Drake and Kendrick Lamar, two big artists in the music industry, are going head to head. And it's getting pretty heated. Many of you might not know exactly what's happening, but I'm here with all the knowledge to bestow upon all of you to really get into the nitty-gritty of what's going on. We should just start where I'll start, I guess. So Drake released For All the Dogs, as some of you may know who are Drake fans, and one of the songs on that album, First Person Shooter, features J. Cole. And in J. Cole's verse, he drops a line saying, "Love when they argue the hardest MC, is it K-Dot, is it Aubrey, or me? We the big three, like we started a league, but right now, I feel like Muhammad Ali." And I mean, all of you should know Muhammad Ali, one of the greatest boxers of all time. Aubrey and K-Dot in this referring to Kendrick and Drake. For those of you that don't know, Drake's real name is Aubrey Graham. So J. Cole's basically saying he thinks he's the best. And Kendrick didn't really find that too nice, too pretty. Kendrick took a little bit of offense to that. And in We Don't Trust You, which is Future's album with Metro Boomin, there's a song called Like That, which features Kendrick. And Kendrick retaliates saying, you know, screw the big three, it's just big me. So he just says, no, you're not the big three. He's the only one on top right now. And then he gives a little diss to J. Cole saying, your best work is a light pack, meaning his best work isn't the greatest, it's light, all right? Then J. Cole responds in his album Might Delete Later in a song called 7 Minute Drill, which in its core is an entire song dissing on Kendrick. You know, J. Cole says, your first album was classic, your last one was tragic, your second one put people to sleep, and they gassed it for some reason. And your third one was massive, but that was your prime. So he's basically saying he's washed. His latest one was awful, put people to sleep, and his third one was his prime. And then after this, a little intermission. J. Cole, at one of his concerts, apologizes publicly to Kendrick Lamar, saying, God, he prays to God, you know, he'll never make another diss on Kendrick ever again. And he says that if Kendrick decides to make another diss track on J. Cole, then he'll just take it on the chin. He says, my chin's right here, you know, strike it, do whatever you want, and he won't say anything back. He's done. So he apologizes to Kendrick Lamar, which sparked a lot of J. Cole memes on TikTok and people making fun of him on Twitter. After this, 7 Minute Drill is taken off all streaming platforms. So the whole song is just gone. So he saved himself, is what some people think. After this, Drake comes back. Drake releases a single called Push Ups, and the album cover is a little funny. I'm gonna be honest. The album cover is Kendrick Lamar's shoe size. It has a US, UK shoe size sticker, and it has size 7, which for those of you that don't know, Kendrick Lamar is short, okay? He's little, it's fine. He makes amazing music. In this song, Drake talks to a lot of people. He refers to Future and Metro Boomin and Kendrick mostly because of the song Like That they made. And then to a direct response to Kendrick, he says, you ain't no big three, SZA got you wiped down, Travis got you wiped down, Savage got you wiped down, which is just saying that Kendrick isn't in the big three. He says, you shouldn't have even taken offense to that because artists like SZA, Travis Scott, and 21 Savage, they all have you washed. They're much better than you, is what he's saying. And then he makes a very famous line and tells Metro Boomin, who is an amazing producer, he makes fire beats, Metro, shut up and just go make some drums. That's just what he told him. He told him, just shut up and go make beats like you do. That was mostly all for push-ups. The big thing in there was just telling Metro to go make some drums. The next thing is awful. Drake came back and he had a freestyle, which is, it's not good. He raps in AI voice, like those TikToks with like the Subway Surfers on the bottom, essentially telling Kendrick what that they should be dissing Drake for, which makes no sense. And then one of the lines in Drake's own song, it says, talk about him liking young girls, that's a gift from me, which he says in the AI Tupac voice. Why would you say that in the first place? Why would you tell other people the dirt on you? I mean, because it is dirt, it's real dirt. We've seen Millie Bobby Brown stuff, we've seen the 17-year-old he brought on stage at one of his concerts. The Billie Eilish stuff, that was crazy. to be honest, that AI song, his freestyle, it's irrelevant. It could even mark his whole battle as lost because of how bad it was. Kendrick comes back after weeks and drops Euphoria, which is an amazing song. There's a lot of stuff to go into with this song. And the song name Euphoria, some of you might be familiar with the show Euphoria, that Drake helped direct, or mainly directed. The song name in itself is calling Drake fake or an actor because he did help direct Euphoria, and it's like, oh, you're fake, you know, you're an acting, you're an actor. Good title, good title. Already getting into the heat. Kendrick brings up the drama with Pusha T and Drake. And for those of you that don't know, this drama it's huge. So the big thing was that Pusha T revealed that Drake had a son he was hiding, which is Adonis, which is Drake's son. And that was huge. That was a huge thing for the music industry as a whole. And the most famous line of the song that you've probably heard everywhere, I'm just gonna go through it. It's always been about love and hate. Now let me say I'm the biggest hater. I hate the way that you walk, the way that you talk. I hate the way that you dress. I hate the way that you sneak diss. If I catch flight, it's gonna be direct. And then he goes in to say he hates the women he's with because they confuse themselves with real women. You know, Kendrick really comes out swinging with, I hate the way that you walk, the way that you talk, the way that you dress. Like, he hates everything about Drake. And he really makes it known in this part of the song. And then he talks about, you know, the women that Drake is with, and saying that they confuse themselves with real women. That line, you know, alludes to Drake's relationships with underage girls, and, you know, it doesn't accuse him of anything just yet, but it's saying that, you know, the women you're with or the girls you're with confuse themselves with real women because they're not real women. And then he starts to come at Drake for his trying to fit in to the black community. He says, how many more black features till you finally feel that you're black enough? Which, you know, Drake is mixed, and Kendrick takes shots at him very obviously against him trying to fit into the black community. Drake has had a lot of things like his accent changes. He's changed his accent a lot. People think that Drake wants to fit into black culture and not just be himself, which is the shots that Kendrick's taking at Drake here, saying that, oh, how many black features till you feel like you're black enough? One of the next things is let your core audience stomach that, then tell them where you get your abs from, which in itself is making fun of Drake's, you know, there were speculations of, you know, since Drake had a very fast transformation from, you know, losing weight and gaining muscle, there were a lot of speculation of plastic surgery, liposuction, and he takes Ozempic, which, you know, in itself is not really a diss, but, you know, he says, let your core audience stomach that, you know, he has wordplay, so it fits into the song, it fits into the diss, so it's all right. In Push-Ups, the song by Drake, he mentions that he has a 20v1. Oh, there's so many people against me. But Kendrick here says it's not a 20 versus 1, it's a 1 versus 20 because he has to fight his ghostwriters. For those of you that don't know, Drake for sure has ghostwriters. And he's saying that instead of Drake going up against, you know, Future, Metro Boomin, Rick Ross, all these artists, it's actually Kendrick going up against all of Drake's, you know, OVO team and his ghostwriters. And then Kendrick ends the track saying he has more stuff to drop depending on what Drake does. And he also tells Drake that no one wants to hear him say the N-word anymore. And then he restates it multiple times throughout the song. And even at the end, he restates it multiple times. He says, stop, 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 stop. Nobody wants to hear you say it anymore. It's uncomfortable, it's weird. And then Kendrick follows up. He follows up right away, just like Drake did with a release on Instagram called 616 in LA. The whole vibe of it was that Drake has moles in OVO, which is Drake's company. And in the song, Kendrick drops a line saying, are you finally ready to play Have You Ever? Let's see. And says, have you ever thought that OVO is working for me? Everyone inside your team is whispering that you deserve it. So Kendrick says that he's got ears at OVO. He says that there's moles telling him information, and people in OVO think that Drake deserves these disses because of how he acts. So then Drake releases a single called Family Matters. It's a good song. He uses the Good Kid, Mad City band to symbolize Kendrick being crushed and makes some pretty good accusations against Kendrick in 7 minutes. Drake starts us off strong. Okay, instant retaliation to the end of Euphoria, where Kendrick told Drake to stop saying the N-word because it made him uncomfortable. And he starts the song off by doing just that. He says it right at the beginning of the song, and he also says it multiple times throughout the song, which seems to be trying to, get something out of Kendrick to rile him up or something. And he starts off the chorus by saying, "I was really, really trying to keep it PG." This is a direct reference to the RDC World skit about Drake that was on TikTok or YouTube that pokes fun at him, telling him he should just give up.
Hey, I was really, really trying to keep this PG.
Drake. Yeah, you like that, right?
Where you going? Come on, hey! Houston, Atlanta, Vegas. Houston, Atlanta, Vegas. Come on!
The next line is extremely controversial. He says, "Always rapping like you gotta get the slaves freed. You just acting like an activist, it's make-believe." Obviously, very controversial. It takes the black empowerment away from Kendrick that he tries to bring awareness to through his music. And it dilutes it to just being for show and for aesthetic, which is not at all what it's about. It's about real black empowerment. And Drake just tries to shove it aside and says, "No, you're just doing it for show," which is, that's insane. That is an insane thing to ever say about anything or anyone who's trying to bring awareness to such a serious cause. Then Drake makes almost the biggest one of accusations against Kendrick for that side, besides the Whitney domestic abuse. He says, "I heard one of them little kids might be Dave Free." So this accuses Kendrick's wife of having an affair with the general manager of Kendrick's label, or just the general manager of something involving Kendrick, Dave Free, which it's a bad look for Kendrick. Then Drake goes back to the domestic abuse accusations for Kendrick, saying, "When you put your hands on your girl, is it self-defense because she's bigger than you? They hired a crisis management team to clean up the fact that you beat on your queen." Serious accusations coming from Drake, saying that Kendrick beats his queen. Kendrick beats Whitney. But, there are heavy accusations coming from Drake. Then Kendrick releases another single called "Meet the Grams." This song was insane. The way that this song dropped, it was 30 minutes after Drake dropped Family Matters. It was extremely well received. The beginning of the song is already a crazy moment for a lot of people. It essentially is Kendrick writing a letter or speaking to one of every family member in Drake's family. And the biggest part was that it took the spotlight off of Drake's diss, Family Matters, because it released same day. Within the hour, within 30 minutes, the song was released. Kendrick was again on top. He starts the song off so strong with "Dear Adonis," which, like I said, Adonis is Drake's son. He says to Adonis, "Let me be your mentor since your daddy didn't teach you anything." And it says that Drake's not in his son's life. It has gotten better, but it is still not where it should be. Then Kendrick starts saying to Adonis, "Even if it don't benefit your goals, do some push-ups, get some discipline, don't cut them corners like your daddy did." And then he proceeds to say, "Don't mess with Ozempic," which is referring to Drake taking Ozempic. So Kendrick's just telling Adonis to work for what he wants instead of taking the easy way out like Drake did with taking Ozempic. He then starts his next verse with "Dear Sandra," which is Drake's mother. It's referring to Drake's mom. And he says, "Especially with all the girls that hurt inside this climate, you're a woman, so you know how it feels to be in alignment." Kendrick's saying she wouldn't want her own children being around someone like Drake because he is a predator and he's a nasty person. Then Kendrick talks to Drake's father in the second verse with "Dear Dennis." Kendrick says, "Dear Dennis, you gave birth to a master manipulator. Even using you to prove who he is a huge favor." Kendrick is accusing Drake here of using his father's skin color to prove he is black, as if he needed to do that in the first place. "Your son's a sick man with sick thoughts. I think people like him should die." He just goes straight up. He just thinks people like Drake should die. He says, "I wish Drake was dead." And then he says he has sex offenders on OVO that he keep on a monthly allowance, which is accusing Drake of housing predators within OVO, which is his own company, which is somewhat true. There are people in OVO that have been accused of many things. The next verse is the most viral verse, as Kendrick accuses Drake of having a second child that he is hiding. This verse was crazy. It went super viral. It was essentially Kendrick's main diss against Drake, saying he's hiding another child. Like when Pusha T revealed Adonis, Kendrick is revealing this 11-year-old girl. He says, "Dear baby girl, I'm sorry that your father is not active inside your world. He don't commit to much but his music, yeah, that's for sure." Which is just saying, dear baby girl, dear Drake's daughter, your father, who is Drake, hasn't been active in your life. This is already insane. Like, oh my God, Drake has another child. This is insane. This has already happened one time before. Maybe it's happening again. And the next line is heavy. Kendrick says, "Because you lied about your religious views, you lied about your surgery, you lied about your accent and your past tense, all is perjury. You lied
about your ghost riders, you lied about your crew members, they all pussy, you lied on them, I know they all got you in them, you lied about your son, you lied about your daughter, you lied about them other kids that's out there hoping that you come, you lied about the only artist that can offer you some help."
And then he ends the song in an amazing line saying, you know, screw a rap battle, this is a long life battle with yourself. Saying he has problems, he has to fix himself, this is a battle with himself. And then Kendrick comes back. He's not done with Drake just yet, because he releases another song called Not Like Us, which is a good song. Before Drake could even respond, Kendrick dropped another diss the next day on May 4th, essentially just calling Drake a predator. That's the whole song. And I'm not going to go into too much depth of Not Like Us. You should listen to all these songs yourself. Not Like Us is my personal favorite. It sounds amazing. The beat is heavy. Kendrick says things like, "Say Drake, I hear you like I'm young." To anyone that says you love him, make sure you hide your little sister from him. In the last song, Kendrick said that you're housing people, predators in OVO. He actually has evidence. You know, he says, "Baca got a weird case. Why is he around?" This line refers to Baca Not Nice, who is one of the people in OVO that went to jail. He had charges against him for sexual assault. He says, why is he still around? Why do you keep having him around if he had these charges against him? Which is a very valid point. And then one of the most famous lines of the song, Kendrick says, "Trying to strike a chord and it's probably A minor." And then finally, just, you know, May 5th, Drake responds to all this. He responds with his diss called The Heart Part 6. In itself, the title is already amazing. It's a power move, essentially. It limits Kendrick's ability to make a song titled The Heart Part 6, as it truly is a possibility that he was going to do so. And the general reference to Kendrick is smart. The song, however, was not nearly as smart as the title was. He says, "We plotted for a week, and then we fed the information to you. A daughter that's 11 years old, I bet he takes it. We thought about giving a fake name or a destination, but you so thirsty, you're not concerned with investigation." This is a crazy statement, as Kendrick's big reveal on Meet the Grahams was that Drake is hiding a second child. But if it's true that Drake fed this fake information to Kendrick, that could be really bad for Kendrick. Drake has yet to reveal any proof, however, that he actually fed fake information. And if he does have proof, he should release it now. You would think that if you fed fake information with the purpose of misconstruing Kendrick's views, you would have evidence that you did so, which is, it's a little weird that Drake, you know, either didn't record something or screenshot something with him doing that, which make people think that maybe that's not true. And then he proceeds to say, "This Epstein angle you're taking is what I expected." That's wild, because why are you expecting people to call you a predator? That is not something you should say ever. And then he says, "Just for clarity, I feel disgusted. I'm too respected. If I was messing with young girls, I promise I would have been arrested." He says he's too famous to be a predator, which, you know, if you look at people like Epstein, you know you're not. No one is. No one is too famous to be a predator. And then he says, "I'm only messing with Whitney's, not Millie Bobby Brown's. I'd never look twice at no teenager." Nobody said anything about Millie Bobby Brown from this point, from all the way to the beginning. Nobody said anything about Millie Bobby Brown. For those of you that don't know, Drake has been texting and friends with Millie Bobby Brown since she was 14. There's leaked DMs and a bunch of stuff with him and Millie Bobby Brown that's just weird. And then he proceeds to almost snitch on himself, saying, "I don't mess with Millie Bobby Brown, you know, I'd never look twice at a teenager." Nobody said Millie Bobby Brown. You're cool. You didn't have to bring her name up, but you still did, which is making you look more guilty, like you actually did mess with Millie Bobby Brown. And then the outro is just some corny outro saying, "Oh, that was good exercise. Glad to pick up the pen. And maybe he did actually pick up the pen for this song because of how poorly it's written. Now, we're just waiting. Kendrick has yet to release a song after this. We're still waiting on more information. Maybe Kendrick releases tonight. Maybe it's tomorrow night. Maybe it's next week. Maybe he doesn't respond because he already feels like he won. But that's up for you guys. Who do you think won? Is it Kendrick or is it Drake? In my opinion, it's Kendrick, pretty obviously. But that's it. That's the drama up to this point. We're waiting on Kendrick. That's really it. So I'll be back with more information if Kendrick does drop. But as of now, I hope you're all caught up with the drama and everything. So, I'll see you if Kendrick drops again.